Hey folks, glad that you're joining us again. Today we're going to show you how to grow a squash that I particularly like. It's called the cushaw. And I knew nothing about these probably 5 years ago, but we were on our way back from the West Coast, and my wife had a friend that lived in New Mexico. And we stopped by to see them. I'd never met the lady before. She shook my hand and immediately said, "I heard you grow food. You grow cushaw." That was her introduction. Okay. She really wanted cushaw. And I said, "I've never heard of cushaw." And she looked like I was from another planet. But she grew up in Louisiana, and she said, you can grow sweet potatoes, make sweet potato pie, you can make pumpkin pie, but she said there ain't nothing like a cushaw pie. And she's right. It's wonderful. And cushaw is a Hearty, it's like an heirloom plant. They'll get huge. I mean, 5 to up to 20 pounds. They'll get really big. And they're like a striped gourd-looking plant that has a long shelf life to it. I'm growing it now. I can actually get 2 crops out of this cushaw here in Texas, and they last you a long, long time. The cushaws produce their seeds, which you can roast and eat just like you would like a pumpkin seed. They also call them Kentucky pumpkins. But the beauty of them is they produce a ton of meat and quite a few seeds, but a ton of meat. You take that meat and you process it through. She told me if I grow cushaws for her, she said, "I can't grow anything, but I sure can cook pies." And so she said, "I'll make as many pies as you want." So we took a bunch up to her place, and we spent the weekend making cushaw pies, and they're wonderful. But with that being said, the thing I like about it is this. Around here, a lot of people will grow zucchini, yellowneck, and I grow zucchini and yellowneck. They're good, but you have to watch and fight the vine borers, and the vine borers will eat up your squash. The squash bugs, they eat up the squash. And the best thing to do is to be able to take those squash and let them grow up vertically along a fence or have a wire where they can grow up to keep them off the ground, and then plant around them something like daikon radishes or some other radishes that'll help keep the pests away. But they're nasty. I mean, they tear up your crop. About the time you're putting butter in the pan, thinking you're going to have a great plate of zucchini or yellowneck squash, and you go to get them and they're empty because the squash have torn them up. These particular are heirloom, and they're so hardy, they're amazing. You'll take and look like someone took spiked shoes and stepped all over the vine from the vine borers, but they're still hardy and they still grow and they get massive. That's the beautiful thing of it. The other thing I like about it is you can eat them savory, like in soups and that sort of thing. They're comparable like to a butternut if you're doing it that way. And with the savory aspect of them, I love savory soups. I love soups. But zucchini, it just kind of melts and doesn't hold its shape. With the cushaw, you can cube it and it holds that shape in a savory soup, which is really, really nice. Now today we're going to plant some. I've already got some I'll show you in a minute, but the ones I have right now we're going to plant, and these are the seeds. Like I said, you can cook these just like you would a sunflower or a pumpkin seed, but we're just going to fix these for here. What I'm doing here is cutting the ends off of them, and I'm dropping them into my soil feeders. The soil feeders are a proprietary mix of microbes that I have, and they are great to fight off pathogens, and they're great to use as a pre-emergent for pre-planting. So what we'll do here is we cut these off, and the reason I'm doing this is these are hard seeds. If it gets the microbes inside them, it brings life to them, and they're much more, they'll basically germinate and begin to come out much quicker than if I just put them in the ground. If I put them just in the ground, it'll take a while to germinate. With these, 3 or 4 days, they'll start to germinate. You'll see little heads sticking out of the ground. And probably a week from now, no longer than 10 days, you'll be able to plant them in the pots. I say plant them, excuse me. I'm planting them in the pots today, but you'll be able to see the plants sticking their heads up and begin to think in terms of where to plant the plants themselves. You can direct sow, but normally what I do is just put them in a pot and let them work, especially this time of year, because it can still get down below 50, and you don't want to do that. You want to stunt the growth, although this is a very hardy plant. But you just put them in there, let them soak on the soil feeders for a while, and then we'll plant them, okay? Thank you. Give me a second, and I'll be right back with you.